WhyGuru, 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 WhyGuru,
WhyGuru, WhyGuru Sahib Jiyo. Satgur ayo saran tuhari, mile sukh naam har sobha, chinta lahe hamari. Avar na suje duji thahar, har pryoto dwari. Lekha chod lekhe chute, hum nirgun leho bari. Sadbaksand sada mehrwana, sabna de adhari. Nanak das sant pache paryo, rakh le ho eho bari, rakh le ho eho bari. Pal mathara kach ped nahi, Gur Arjan partakh har, Gur Arjan partakh har. WhyGuru Ji Ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh. All right, thanks guys. So we're going to kick off with week 3, just to do a bit of a recap on what we've done so far. The first week was the intro on how there's a bit of a lens when we look at Sikhi, that sometimes that lens isn't given to us when we're coming into Sikh families, and it's kind of abbreviated form of that lens is that firstly Guru Nanak Dev Ji was sent here by God. They didn't just decide to become a guru. Yeah, they were sent upon this earth in order to solve a problem. So whatever was there before wasn't solving the problem. Yeah. So what Amardaas came here to do was the solution. Second part of that then is that Guruji is then enlightened by God. In the fact that Guruji is given the guruship by Akal Purkh WhyGuru. Whether you look at it as before that or from the day they were born or from that point on, the fact is that Guru Sahib for us then becomes the light of God. That they cease to be a human being of the normal sense who is, kin pulanahar, able to make loads of mistakes, but they become Puran Guru, a perfect being who is shining with God's light. That's the primary lens. Puran Guru, Pura Guru. Puran means perfect. Yeah. So Bani will say very clearly, everybody can make mistakes, but not Guru and not God. And that thing I think sometimes we forget, that our Guru was not just a normal person. And then the other parts of that lens is that Bani is from God. That Akal Purkh WhyGuru is sending Bani through Guru. Yeah? And Guru Sahib is saying so clearly in his own words. So it's up to us to doubt Guru Nanak. But if we accept that he would speak the truth, then what he says in Guru Granth Sahib Ji is that Jaise mein aave kasam ki Bani, tasra kari gyan velalo. As the Bani comes from God, that's how they tell us what it is. So it's revelation. And the last part is that then Sikhi is therefore made by God. So Guru is sent by God, Bani is from God. And the answer, the final part of that lens is, we already sing these words. Yeah? Every time we go to Gurdwara, mostly on Sunday, I was going to Sunday because most people go to Gurdwara on a Sunday because we live in England, yeah? But what we do is, we sing these immortal words, yeah? Right after Ardas, we'll say, Agya pai akal ki tabe chalayo panth. So the orders come from God. The word Agya means order. Agya pai akal ki, from God. Tabe chalayo panth. Then the panth was started. So this panth of the Khalsa or even Nanak Nirmal Panth Chalaya, that Nanak, Guru Nanak Dev Ji's path was started by God. So let there be no doubt, from a Sikh point of view, this is all done by God. Then in the week 1, we looked at what Maharaj actually did, Guru Nanak Dev Ji. How their life was, where they travelled, some of the stories from their travels, some of their Bani on different aspects. And then week 2, we looked at the idea of Simran. Why do we chant God's name? Yeah. What is the concept of Homme? What is the concept of Naam? How is Hukm fit into that? How is Hukm Rajai Chalna? And again, the abbreviated format of that is that basically, you've got the wider God's will, which is there for us to accept. And then there's a smaller part, which is Guru's will. And that's for us to follow. And Guru's will is to chant God's name. Yeah. Eko naam hukm hai. Nanak Satgur diya bujai jiyo. So for us to understand God's will, is to understand hukum. For us to understand God's will is for us to understand Guru's will. Guru's will is God's will. Whatever God wants to happen is what Guru is making happen. So for a Sikh, to follow Guru is to follow God. There's no difference, because they're the same light. And Guru's order is, the very first order is a jap. Jap now. Yeah? To say WhyGuru. Why? To say God's name is to connect to the One and separate away from the ego that surrounds us. So this week, we're going to take those philosophies of the Naam Simran and the philosophy of Sikhi, but then now apply it and now sort of look at it how the rest of the Gurus developed that message. Why I say developed is, you know, sometimes the revolution, you can't give it in one go. People aren't ready for it. You know, sometimes you have to get them ready for the idea of what Maharaj wants to take them. So, in many ways, you could say it took 10 Gurus to make Panj Pyare. To have 5 people ready at the same time to submit themselves to Guru and follow him, it took a lot of time. As you see, when Guru Angad Dev Ji tested the Sikhs, only one person was found to have accepted them fully. Guru Angad Dev Ji. Yeah. And then when Guru Gobind Singh Ji tests the Sikhs, then there's 5 people ready at that point to submit. So, Sikhi is one of those paths which actually is about submission to Guru and God. So there's a big difference there between a lot of other religions. They will say, we should submit to God. But who knows what God thinks? Yeah. A lot of us don't. We haven't got a clue. Wander around and think, I wonder what God wants me to do today. Yeah. The benefit of having a Guru is, Guru tells us, this is what God wants you to do. Yeah. So, this week, Mahela Duja to Mahela Panjwa. You see these annotations, so that's why I put them in. And Bani, it comes like that as well. Yeah. Just say, I've not just made it up. When Bani sometimes talks about the Gurus, it just gives a number. So you just get Slok and then M, 3. And obviously, having read it, you would understand that M stands for Mahalla. The actual, you might call it like the palace of the light. So, Guru Angad Dev Ji. And then Guru Amardaas Ji, Guru Ramdas Ji, Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Now, why I sometimes do the names and stuff, because you'll be surprised how many people don't know the names of the 10 Gurus. Yeah, I'm not going to ask you guys and try to embarrass anybody, but it's actually the fact that a lot of people can't name the 10 Gurus, let alone the order of those 10 Gurus, or how they're related to each other. Yeah, that's the hardest part. So the family tree gets lost sometimes. We're going to cover these things: how they became Guru, their life stories, achievements. When I say achievements, it's going to be certain things that we remember them for. Yeah, Gurbani quotes from them, famous parts or shabads that you might have heard before. Okay, and then basically how the Guruship flowed. This story is really important because it teaches us how one Guru values another Sikh enough to entrust them with the leadership and then actually give their light to that person. The Guru is like a candle. He lights that person with their own light. And then they become Guru. So Guru Angad Dev Ji. Now Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj becomes the Guru in 1539. Yeah. So from 1469, when Guru Angad Dev Ji is born, to about 1497, Guru Angad Dev Ji is not. They're the light, but they're not really a Guru out there taking on Chele, taking on Sikhs. Yeah. From the time they go into the river, they become the Guru. From then, just before, around about 1497 to 1539 is Guru Angad Dev Ji. Yeah? And then in 1539, Guru Angad Dev Ji becomes a Guru. Just a quick reminder. Oh, there we go, there's that reminder. 30 years, basically, when they became the Guru. A lot of us in this room are around about 30, or a little bit older, or a little bit younger than 30. Yeah? So, unfortunately, when we go to Gurdwara nowadays, when we imagine Guru Angad Dev Ji in a picture, we come up with a Soba Singh idea, yeah? Old person, eyes up in the air, looking slightly glazed, and there's a hand up, and it might have the kunkar on the hand, yeah? Right? That's a mental image that's kind of imprinted into us. But you've got to change that to a young person with a black beard, yeah? Not chubby, but probably quite fit, yeah? Because they did a lot of walking, right? A lot of traveling. So maybe that image is kind of, maybe the incentive for the committees is to get a old person looking like Guru Angad Dev Ji, because then they can say, look, he's old, we're old, we should be in charge. Yeah? And maybe if they had a young Guru, then we might say, look, he looks a bit like me, rather than looks like you guys. So maybe we should be running these places, because they're not very complicated. So 70 years old Maharaj is when they pass on the Gurgaddi. Just a quick reminder of Pai Lena. 1504 they're born. So you can see in 1539 they're about 35 years old, yeah? So they're not very old as well when they become the Guru. Okay? They were quite well off as well. I don't know if you saw that video. There's a video about Mata Kiwi I posted up on Facebook today. Like an animation, the wife of Guru Angad Dev Ji. So that's worth watching, and it goes through the life story a little bit of Mata Kiwi Ji and Guru Angad Dev Ji. They heard about Guru Angad Dev Ji on a yatra. Yatra meaning a voyage, yeah? Like a religious voyage. And they were traveling off, so they said, you know what, I'll go and see this Guru Nanak as well. So they go to Kartarpur, which is a city that Guru Angad Dev Ji founded. The famous story is when they met Guru Angad Dev Ji, Maharaj said, they said, oh, where is Guru Nanak's house? To this old person. Yeah? And Guru Angad Dev Ji was that person, but they didn't tell him. And he goes, oh, I'll take you there. So Pai Lana, being quite well off, was on a horse, and Guru Angad Dev Ji held the horse and walked him to his house. You know? And Pai Lana then obviously gets down. He goes, just wait here, I'll go and tell Guru Angad Dev Ji you're here, and then you come in a couple of minutes. So then obviously when Pai Lana comes in, and then he sees that the King of the Kings was actually holding his own horse, and he's falling at his feet. It's quite an emotional experience, as you can imagine. Because Guru Angad Dev Ji was also, he knew that Lena has come to take something from him. Yeah? And he knew this is what's the destiny of this person. But Pai Lana Ji obviously didn't realize that. Pai Lana was then at one point, I remember the story is that he was carrying a lot of hay. Not pretty much just within this same meeting period. And his clothes were filthy from all this muddy hay. You know, hay doesn't normally come in nice clean bales as we see nowadays, yeah? It's cut from the field, it's full of mud. And his clothes are drenched because he's quite a well-off person, so his clothes are now full of mud. And Mata Tripta, you know, Mata is Guru Nanak Dev's mother, who's the wife? Mata Lakshmi Ji. She actually says to Guru Nanak Dev Ji, why don't you find somebody else to carry this hay? This poor guy's clothes are drenched. Much like one of our wives would do. But Guruji says, look, his chola is covered in naam. Yeah? Because actually, that concept of having been clothed in naam is a very common Sikh concept as well. Maharaj says that, you know, the clothes that we really need in this life are those of sifat and salah, praise and prayer. Okay, and then they lived in Kartarpur from then on. They didn't leave. Yeah. Now, a quick point. Guru Nanak Dev Ji did have two sons, yeah? So they didn't pass it on. So from the very beginning, a very key rule was broken, yeah? That it normally went for the son. And now you see all the kind of sects of Sikhism, yeah? A famous one, the son was married to a Gori, didn't really swear a pug, lived on a beach in Spain, you know, and then found out his father's going to die, and he's going to get the next guruship, yeah? It's one of the, you know, so the Radha Swami guys. So then he had to quickly leg it back to Punjab, learn Punjabi, because he wasn't so hot at Punjabi, and then was then entrusted with the guruship, and now he's Satguru. Yeah, so interesting way. But even in those days, right at the very beginning, Guru Nanak Dev broke away from that idea of the guruship going to the son. And in fact, Bani talks about these tests that they didn't pass the tests. Yeah, and the key test that is that we're going to go into, they were asked to build a wall in the rain, sandbag kind of wall. And 22 times Guru Nanak Dev Ji said it's not good enough. Yeah. Now, can anybody sort of hazard a guess as to why Guru Nanak Dev Ji, you know, why would Pai Lana carry on building this wall? You know, 22 times, having been told it's not good enough, get back on it. Obedience, okay, yeah. But that's like a standard term. We try to get into that emotion that must have been having at that time. Yeah, thank you, Paji. The wall was irrelevant. No, neither Pai Lana Ji cared about the wall, nor did Guru Nanak Dev Ji care about the wall. It's we that think the wall was important. Yeah. The question was, Guru Sahib said to do something, Pai Lana was happy to be told to do something, yeah, and just do it. It wasn't a case of, I want to do this wall perfectly, and when it's over, I'm going to get rewarded. It was like, Maharaj just told me to do something, I was going to do that. Yeah? It's a sevak. Many times in Bani, the word seva, yeah, it comes with this word sevak. And the sevak is actually a das, a servant. Yeah? And all a servant wants to do is serve. So a Sikh is actually trying to be a servant of the Guru. Yeah? The correct translation of the word sevak is a Sikh. Yeah? So a Sikh is trying to become a servant. So this is the kind of the level that Bhai Lehna held Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Whatever they said, they would do. Once they were told to shake a tree to get prasad, Bhai Lehna Ji, the younger sons were told, and they said no, because that tree doesn't have any prasad. There's no fruit on that tree. But Bhai Lehna didn't care what Guru Nanak Dev Ji said. It was a hukum. Secondly, Bhai Lehna Ji understood that whatever Guru Nanak Dev Ji says must become the truth. Nanak das mukh te jo bole, iha uha sach hove. If Guru Nanak Dev Ji says that tree will have prasad, it will have prasad. Yeah? Because as we said, even because you might not have heard, but Japji Sahib Katha is already on our channel. Karam Khand ki Bani Jod. Somebody who is at Karam Khand, who's got that power, their words have power. If they say something will happen, it will happen. Final test, Guru Nanak Dev Ji starts acting all mad, starts throwing money, and they finally walk off into the mountains, into the forest. And everybody's following, this is my Guru, Tan Guru Nanak Dev Ji, I'm not going to leave my Guru behind. And no matter what happens, they get to this clearing, and there's not many people left now after the coins and all the crazy behavior. And then Maharaj points to this dead body on a funeral pyre and says, eat it. You can imagine how the Sikhs would have felt at that time. And this real test is what Guru is saying to be followed under all circumstances. It's a bit like that Kirpan moment. Guru Gobind Singh Ji is often misquoted by people. They think that they got up on top of the stage with the Kirpan and they said, who wants to take Amrit? People often think that was the question. Or they often think that they put up the Kirpan and they said, who wants to wear the 5Ks? Yeah, right? But that wasn't the question, was it? The question was, who wants to die today by Guru's sword? And at that point, Tan Guru Angad Dev Ji, as Bhai Lehna, said, feet or head, Maharaj? Where should I start? That was the... And when they opened up the sheet and they realized it was prasad, famously Guru Angad Dev Ji, Bhai Lehna, took a thali with some prasad on it, and then offered it to the Sangat first, before they even ate it themselves. Vandike Shakana. The Shakana is always after sharing, not before. It's not like, nowadays income comes into the bank account, and then whatever's left, then we take out 10%. The ideal way would be that, you can take it out of the source. That's the kind of thing. Before you even consume, it's taken up. Thus one comes out first. And then they called Guru Angad the ceremony of the 5 coins, the coconut, and the tikka. So the Guru always had a mark on his forehead to denote him as the Guru. Yeah. Nowadays we get very scared about if a Sikh turned up with a tikka on his matha, we have a heart attack. Yeah. But the Gurus always had that tikka that denoted their status. Okay. Often you see the word kirpa and you'll have a bakshish. Like amul baksis, amul nisan. Nisan means a sign of that kirpa. So that was a nishani the Guru had, that he was the one who had been blessed. So then the light merged, 35 years old, Guru Angad Dev Ji is given the Gurgaddi and given the Bani of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. This is the gift. That Bani of Guru Nanak Dev Ji was in a pothi that Maharaj carried with him. The same pothi that in Mecca they asked to look inside and tell who is better, Hindu or Muslim. Some people say, he was carrying the Quran, because the word used there is kitab. But that's the Arabic word for book, kitab. They're not going to say pothi, because they don't know what pothi means. Yeah. Secondly, why would a Muslim person ask Guru Nanak Dev Ji what's in the Quran? They know the Quran. Yeah. Obviously, it was a book that wasn't the Quran. So it's a kitab that is the pothi. So that's handed over to Guru Angad Dev Ji. And then Guru Angad Dev Ji goes to Khadur Sahib. That's where they were from. And they're now sent away by Guru Nanak Dev Ji to go set up base there. Not told to stay in Kartarpur, but told to go and set up a base in Khadur Sahib. And for me, this basically ensured the survival of Sikhi, because it became more about the light than about the person itself. Yeah? So that the light could now pass from Guru to Guru. And like I said, societal change takes generations. Just to recount, from the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji spreading out as the Guru, to the time from Guru Gobind Singh Ji giving the Guru Khalsa Panth, it's 200 years. 200 years of always having one Guru in charge. And look at how Sikhi had grown over 200 years. If Guru Nanak Dev Ji had turned up with Kirpan, Panch Kakars and said, we're going to make the Khalsa, in that time, people wouldn't have been able to get it. They wouldn't have got it. It was too deep for them. Yeah? They needed to be changed over many, many years. So let's have a look at some achievements of Guru Angad Dev Ji. First thing is, they had to face some problems. And this happens a lot in the Guruship story. As soon as the next Guru comes on, there's issues of succession. And over here, Baba Sirichan, the son of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, wasn't very happy about the Guruship not going to him. Because he was a very spiritual person as well. He became an Udasi, yeah, became a bit of a renunciate, walked around nearly naked, long hair, in jata. But he was very spiritual. Yeah. And he kind of expected himself to get it. But he didn't. This caused some confusion. Guru Sahib is in Khadur Sahib. And there's an incident where even the Sikhs at that time, because of the confusion created by Baba Sirichan, the Sikhs at the time weren't sure who to follow. Yeah? Because we didn't have the internet in those days. Yeah? Right. There wasn't like Facebook, message by Guru Nanak Dev Ji saying, update status, Guru Angad Dev Ji now the Guru, and everybody got it in their feed. Yeah? People weren't sure what to believe, right? So what happens is that Guru Angad Dev Ji is in Khadur Sahib, and now is the Guru, but there's a guy there, a tapasvi, who was getting a bit annoyed about Guru Angad Dev Ji becoming so popular, because he had that pin under lockdown, he thought, beforehand, yeah? And people used to come to him. And so what he did, it wasn't raining for a long time in Khadur Sahib. And what he said to the people is, this rain is not coming because of this Guru Angad. You need to get rid of him, and it will rain. Yeah? And the people got a bit shaken in their faith. So they actually asked Guru Sahib, Ki tusi jao. Yeah? You're actually stopping the rain coming here. We need the rain. Much like sometimes, when it comes to our food, if our livelihood is threatened, people get a bit shaken in their Sikhi and their faith. Yeah? So what happens is now, the people of Khadur Sahib tell Guru Angad Dev Ji almost, yeah, to go. And Amardaas says, theek hai. Nowadays, if you told a committee wale to go, yeah, they would no longer relinquish that chair so easily. But Guru Sahib doesn't have pyar with that kursi. Yeah? He is who he is. The Sikhs have to search him out. So Amardaas goes. You can imagine that some of the Guru Sikhs who are obviously in love with Guru Angad Dev Ji are in sadness. But what happens is that it doesn't rain in that pind. It doesn't rain, especially doesn't rain. It goes on really bad. And then the people of that town, they try to find out what's gone wrong. And they actually ask Babuddha Ji and some of the Sikhs. Yeah? And then those Sikhs, they're obviously high level. They give the hukum. It will only rain. They find out what's happened with the tapasvi. They say it will only rain in this pind. Yeah? If you take that tapasvi to each field, if you drag him to each field. Wherever you take him, it will rain there. And that's what they did. They grabbed him and they dragged him to each field. And there was a cloud following him around. Wherever they took him, it rained there. Yeah? And this person actually died. This tapasvi. From his nindya of his guru, the fall he got from doing nindya of Tan Guru Angad Dev Ji is that in that village's excitement about getting rain in their field, yeah, they got over exuberant and dragged him around to every field as much as they could. Yeah? And this poor guy then passes away. So that's the danger of the nindya of the gurus. Yeah? Hon Loki, they're doing it kushi thinking that's going to happen to them. But so Guru Angad Dev Ji goes to Sangaria, to their aunt's house. It's a pind. And they go into seclusion. No one knows where they are. It's much like we don't know who your families are. If one of you went gupt to some auntie somewhere, we all got them all over the place, yeah? Right? No one would know where you went. Yeah? Now, what happens now is, the Sikhs go to Babuddha Ji. Look at this. The Sikh are searching for the Guru. Yeah? See what I mean? This is the love of the Sikhs. They go to Babuddha Ji, we made a big mistake. Yeah? We sent Guru Angad Dev Ji away from Khadur Sahib. Please bring him back. Now, Baba Buddha Ji was a Sikh of Guru Nanak. And Baba Buddha Ji stays in Sikhi all the way through to the 6th Guru. Yeah? And obviously, because the 6th Guru's son, Guru Tegh Bahadurji, they would have known them as well. So they knew 7 of the Gurus personally. Yeah? Right? Baba Buddha Ji was given a var, a boon by Guru Nanak Dev Ji. You will always find me. You will know how to find me, that's what they said. Yeah? So Baba Buddha Ji then was asked to find Guru Angad Dev Ji. And Baba Buddha Ji basically, they decided that they would follow. They just did a hukum to this horse to say, go and find Guru Angad. And then they followed that horse. And the horse actually turned up to Sangar, to this aunt's house. And she denied it. She goes, Teniyaga, go away. The Sikhs knew, Baba Buddha Ji knew he was here. So then they stayed there. And they did Kirtan outside. And they kept doing Kirtan until Guru Angad Dev Ji finally took pity on his Sikhs and came out. Yeah? Then they go back to Khadur Sahib. So the Sikhs sought him out. This happens again actually in Guru Amardaas Ji's time as well. Yeah. The family of Guru Angad Dev Ji quickly. They married to Mata Kivi. Mata Kivi is like a really important female in Sikhi. Yeah? She's one of the few women, probably the only woman mentioned by name from the Guru's family in Guru Granth Sahib Ji itself. Yeah? She's mentioned by name. Mata Kivi Nekjan. Beautiful person. And she gave a lot of shade to people. Chao. They use the word chao. You know, the tree has a lot of shade. Yeah? So she gave a lot of shade. And also, it says that she fed kheer to the Sangat. Yeah? Nowadays, going to Gurdwara and getting kheer, yeah, it's quite usual, isn't it? Because we're all well off here. Yeah? But in those days, it wasn't the case. Right? So, kheer was actually a delicacy back then. And Mataji used to feed the Sangat. She did a lot of seva of the Sangat. She did seva of the Sangat even after Guru Angad Dev Ji passed away. We'll get to that Shabad in a little while. They have 2 sons and 2 daughters. Datu and Dasu. Baba Datu, Baba Dasu Ji. And 2 daughters, Bibi Amro and Bibi Anokhi Ji. Okay? Why I said it is important to understand, we know our Guru's life story. I know that we here in the West might not know our Guru's life story. But as a Sikh Panth, we know who they are married to, who their kids were, and the life story. This knowledge has not been lost. It's just not spread out over here. Okay? So Bibi Amro Ji, she gets married to the nephew of Guru Amardaas Ji. Guru Amardaas Ji at that time wasn't Guru Amardaas, yeah? Just Amardaas, or Amar, Baba, or, you know, at that time he wasn't even this kind of servant who was serving the Guru, just a normal person. Obviously very spiritual. And into his family, yeah, one of his nephews gets married to this girl, and Guru Amardaas Ji, we'll talk about him in a minute, how the story there of Bibi Amro, but she's responsible then for bringing Guru Amardaas Ji into Sikhi. Yeah? Another famous Sikh woman. So I was giving the comment that previously we weren't talking about the women as well. So intensely we've gone and talked about the importance of Sikh women. From the very beginning, Sikhi has been a story of men and women. Yeah? These are very important people to us. Okay, Langar. One of the things that Guru Angad Dev Ji spent a lot of time developing was Langar concept. Making sure that it stayed there, that it was a casteless and classless society. Hanji. Hanji. I mean, I don't know. I can't. I mean, putting words into his mouth wouldn't be right. But I'm guessing probably did, because why would there be confusion otherwise? Unless he was claiming that he's the rightful successor, or there wouldn't be confusion otherwise, right? If you go to somebody and say, "Are you the Guru?" and he goes, "No." And then he said, "Who is the Guru then?" It must be Guru Angad Dev Ji, yeah? The confusion can only be caused by if somebody said, "I am the Guru." Yeah? But then maybe he accepted his mistake after the Baba Buddha Ji incident, and they found in Guru, you know, because Baba Buddha Ji would have been looked to as a source of finding Guru. And that incident of finding Guruji kind of closed the question on whether they were Guru or not. Yeah? Because Baba Buddha Ji found him. No one knew where he was. It was a kotak, when you say kotak, a miracle. Yeah? To find him in his aunt's house where no one knew where he was, and we followed his horse straight to their house. That was a miracle that people would have talked about. Like, maybe we don't talk about it now, but that's back those, they would have talked about that incident, that they were found, you know, and that's our Guru. Just like Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's found, yeah, in the Pind, by that guy, Makhan Shah, you know, the same thing proves the Guru. You can seal the questions of the Guruship. Thanks for bringing that question up. But they're not too far away from the spiritual message of Sikhi. It's just that the Rehet is very different. And Baba Sirichan remains the head of that, right until the son of Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji. Yeah, interesting kind of reunion back to the... But anyway, let's carry on. Again, the idea of langar, a lot of people think of it as free food, but just, because that's what it is to us. But it's also a place to learn how to do seva. Because there's a joy in service, but it's very hard to find out there's joy in service. It's kind of like you have to try doing seva to then enjoy doing seva. And then when you start enjoying seva in the Gurdwara, then maybe you can start doing seva outside. So it's like a school. Just like you're supposed to learn Bani, but not just supposed to keep it in the Gurdwara, right? But spread Bani outside. What's happening nowadays is we're keeping langar and seva in the Gurdwara and keeping Path and Gurbani in the Gurdwara. It's not going out. It's supposed to be a school to apply outside. Mata Kiwi's their wife, and obviously Guru Angad Dev Ji's they make a lot of langar together. So that this Ramkali ki War is the where the thing about the kheer comes up. She's the only wife mentioned. And also she's noted as langar daulat vandiye. So langar being food, and also daulat meaning money. So at that point, maybe poor Sikhs who didn't have enough to maybe buy clothes, those kinds of things, they were also given, so people that were rich. Now, I'm assuming some of you guys study economics at university, or even at A-level, or you're working in finance now, Does anybody know what the basic economic problem is? The very first lesson they teach you in economics. Anybody remember? Scarcity. The scarcity starts off by stating that there's unlimited wants and limited resources. And therefore, to solve that problem, we must have a price curve, right? In order to put some things that are very scarce at a very high price, that are in demand. And therefore you end up distributing. Because how do you distribute these unlimited wants and limited resources? Scarcity being a problem, the solution is to price it. Whoever's got money gets to buy it. Now see, Sikhi will solve that problem. By this, limit your wants and share the resources. That's kind of revolutionary. That's what the Sikhi solution would be. So Maharaj is telling people they limit their wants, and when they have extra, then they're sharing it with the people. Langar, daulat, vandiye. Social cohesion and basic needs. Satisfy the basic needs of people. Okay, Gurmukhi. One of the biggest achievements of Guru Angad Dev Ji, or one of the things that people remember them for, is the Gurmukhi Alphabet. In fact, we talked about this last week. They formalized the present form of the Gurmukhi script as we see it now. They added the vowels, sounds that we see now, Sehari, Bihari, Onkar, Dalonkar. If you don't know what they are, there's akkars, then there's sounds. If you want to learn Gurmukhi, we've got some videos, it's going to be developed a bit more. On the YouTube channel, there's a playlist. If you don't know how to find a playlist, you just go to click on the channel name, and then at the top there'll be a drop-down menu to choose playlist. And you can choose the playlist called Learning Gurmukhi. And there's a video which, even if you decide not to learn it right now, it's worth watching the video how it works and why you should be learning it. But how it works to explain to you that there's sounds and then there's vowel sounds that are added to those akkar sounds. Most of the Gurmukhi alphabet now, Uda, Eda, Idi, Sasahaha, that is pretty much the same as Guru Angad Dev Ji wrote in Patti Shabad when they were 7 years old. The beginning and the end change, but the majority of the middle is in the same order from when Guruji was seven and they said that Shabad. And it gave the Sikhs their own written language. That's crucial because it separated us. Because there was a need. People weren't sure what we were. Is this a branch? Is it something new? It separated us from what was there before. Now whether or not the concepts were there before, what Guru Sahib was creating was a kind of break from the past and something new. And this Gurmukhi gave us independence. One of the things that also gave us independence is that in Hinduism, language was related to caste and religion was related to caste. So if you were a low caste person, you weren't even allowed to hear the scriptures, let alone read them. It was illegal for you to learn how to read firstly, you had to stay illiterate. But to hear the scriptures was a sin, and people would often be punished for that sin by having molten lead poured into their ears, so they would go deaf, having heard the scriptures. So what we're trying to say is, by breaking away from that concept, you make a new script, you go away from that whole thing, or you own our script. Just like if somebody makes something now, and it's the same as Sikhi, we might say, well, you're just copying us. If they have a whole new system, then we can't. And again, with the Arabic script, it was the same thing. If you started using Arabic script for anything, then they would claim that you are one of them. Yeah. So Maharaj decided to do something different, set up a script. And also it meant that all members of society could access the prayers, like I said about the equality idea. Education was made a priority. Maharaj was teaching Gurmukhi. You know, often we see pictures of our Guru sitting at the front singing Kirtan, or, you know, people bowing to them. But Guru Sahib was also a teacher, maybe teaching Gurmukhi. And they would employ other Sikhs to go and teach Gurmukhi. One thing that a lot of people don't know, sometimes people say, you know, Guru Nanak Dev Ji just came out the river and gave us Japji Sahib. Have you heard that, any of you guys? When they came out the river, that was their gift to the Sikhs, yeah? That's not how Japji Sahib was made. Another history of our Panth. Japji Sahib was a gift that the Sikhs asked for. Yeah? The Sikhs at that time, they didn't have a morning prayer. They had, in the morning, Naam Japna, yeah, and Asa Kiwar, and in the evening, Rera Sahib, right, and Kirtan Soila. But there was no morning part. And the Sikhs came to Guruji and said, Maharaj, we'd like a morning part. Yeah? Or they, in fact, they asked Bhai Lena Ji to do a benti to Guru Nanak Dev Ji to say, please get us a morning part. Yeah? And at that time, then Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave some writings which were conversations that they'd had with the Siddhs, the yogis. Yeah? They had a conversation with these people, and those conversations were written down, and they gave that to Bhai Lena Ji and said, now put this into an order. Which is why Japji Sahib is a lot of different conversations. It's not one straight conversation. That's why some parts are like almost like sections. They're not related to the previous sections. Yeah? Like the Panj Khands could be independent from the rest of Japji Sahib. Yeah? So Sodar comes up twice. Yeah? Rera Sahib as well. So Bhai Lena Ji then it compiles Japji Sahib at the request of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. And then the Sikhs start to read that, yeah, every day. Okay. One other thing, even though they're the Guru, they don't live off the Sangat money. Yeah. Doesn't mean that we have to follow the example, but what I'm saying is, this is one of the things that they did themselves, yeah. They actually earned their own money, which was very unique in those times. Not every Guru did this, but Bhai Lena Ji, as Guru Angad Dev Ji, did. Yeah, because it was revolutionary. Normally a Guru, as you can see nowadays, yeah, they live it large. Yeah. Got Audis, you know, whatever, best cars, driving around, and they're like, whoa, pretty flashy. Yeah. They also set up a Akhada Sahib. Now you know what the word Akhada means? Huh? Like a gym. You know when people used to do kushti, they have that ring. Yeah? Wrestling, yeah. So there's a Gurdwara where Guru Angad Dev Ji is like a wrestling Gurdwara. Yeah? And in that Gurdwara, they would be right in the middle, a lot of mud. You know how the Punjabi wrestlers do it? It's not mats or anything, it's mud. Yeah? Dry mud. And they would wrestle in that. And the Sikhs were encouraged to do wrestling as well and become fit. So I can imagine the Guru Angad Dev Ji probably wasn't quite portly either. You know, they're probably quite big. You know, 35. Obviously, they might be a trader, but they appreciated exercise. And they started building Govindwal Sahib. Then it becomes important because look, Guru Nanak Dev Ji sends Guru Angad Dev Ji to make Khadur Sahib. And then Guruji starts making Govindwal, and then Guru Amardaas Ji becomes the main head person associated with Govindwal Sahib. And they developed Sikhi again as a distinct path. They continue supporting Dharamsalas of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. What I mean by that is, Gurdwara in those days were called Dharamsalas. Yeah? Where the Guru was obviously a Gurdwara. But what they also used to do is make places of Dharam. Now this word Dharamsal also comes in Japji Sahib. Yeah? It's a place of learning Dharam, a school of Dharam. A Shala is a school. Yeah? Like you have Pak Shala. Yeah? How to cook, it's cooking school. Or Part Shala, learn how to do Part. Then you have a Dharamsala, a place to learn how to do Dharam. Now in the second week we talked about what is Dharam to us. Dharam is righteousness. This is the path. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj is saying very clearly, they've come upon the earth to set up Dharam, righteousness, justice. Yeah? So they're learning how to live in accordance with God's will. Because God's will is just. Yeah? So therefore living a dharmi life is living a Sikh life. So being good to people, but also and combine that with spirituality. It's not enough to be a good person. A lot of people in our community say this, isn't it? I just want to be a good person. I think God will be happy with me. Yeah? I'm sure you've bumped into loads of people like that. Yeah? I do on a daily basis. The question you've got to ask them is, why did Guru Nanak Dev Ji not just put that at the beginning? Be good. Bas. Yeah. Mool mantra is just Changero. No. Yeah. It's not. there's a lot of gyan. Maharaj says jap. So spirituality is like that leg of Naam Japna, Varn Ke Shakna, Kirt Karni. You know, those three legs, they're like a tripod. Without spirituality, the tripod will fall over. It can't stand on two legs. You need all three. Okay, carry on. Okay, at one point, Humayun, the son of Babur, comes to seek the blessings of Guru Angad Dev Ji, in the succession war. Now you can imagine, like, the Mughals were always having these, In fact, you know, Aurangzeb and those people, they were, some of the people, they were brutal, kill their own fathers to get the next throne. Just to let you know that, like recently, not when we done the course the first time, there was an exhibition going on at that time of the Mughal kingdom. And the Sikh interaction with the Mughal kingdom is often not thought about. Guru Nanak Dev Ji meets Babur. Just go back to that one. Guru Nanak Dev Ji meets Babur, They're put in jail by him. Guru Angad Dev Ji meets his son. Guru Amardaas Ji gets visited by the Mughal king as well. So it's a case that we are interacting at a very high level. It's not just some, that we don't know what's going on. Marriage is political even at that time. It's a political act. Because in a succession war, by taking sides, right, you're essentially endorsing one part. And that can be a risky business if the other side wins. But Guru Sahib is doing this. They're being political as well. Okay. Some Bani. Maharaj says, this is ego. That people perform the actions in the ego. The bondage of ego is this, that time and time again, it makes us suffer. Suffer in reincarnation. So basically, Home is that thing that stops us from joining to God. Home is the thing that keeps us in this reincarnation cycle. So we've been going through Home. Like, this is our oldest enemy, you might want to say. This thing. It's been around. It's so much a part of us, we don't even realize. We think we are it, or it is us. To lose it seems hard. So, we suffer in this. The Maharaj says again, eliminate your conceit and do service to humanity, and then you will get your honor. So you get respect. Now, where is that respect given? If you can get the respect here. If you meet somebody who's very humble, who does a lot of seva, then they do get respect. But sometimes in this world, the good people don't get enough respect. Somebody can come along with a gun and just shoot them. But in the next world, they get the ultimate respect. Because when we get into that court, right, the only thing that passes there is Dharam, spirituality and morality. Here, it's not always rewarded. But there, it's always rewarded. Because utte sache hi sach nibde. Only the truth gets responded, gets acknowledged there. Because there's such kind, isn't it? Maharaj says, look, this is an interesting one. Salam jawab dove kare, mundo khutta jai. Maharaj says, we're matha taking, and then we're saying no as well. And from the very beginning, we're going wrong. To matha take, to give, say hanji, to do salam, is to say yes. So, there's a katha I heard, he's a good guy, you should listen to him. Sukha Singh does a lot of katha in English. He says, people come to Gurdwara, matha take, put money in the golak. Right? But they don't take the money back, do they? Never try to do that, Once it's given, it's gone. However, there's something the Sikh does quite a lot. They matha take and they take it straight back. They give them mat there, I'm yours, and next minute, they say, I'm not yours. They take their head right back. Sikhi is about accepting Maharaj, Not just in the Gurdwara, but in your life. This is a beautiful bit of Bani. Guru Angad Dev Ji writes this about Guruji, about his Guru. He says, if there was 100 moons, je 100 chanda ugve, suraj chade 1000, ete chanan hondeya, gurbin kor antar. 100 moons and 1,000 suns. Without Guru, complete darkness. Now, is he talking about this kind of light here? No. Spiritual darkness. When we close our eyes, do we see darkness and darkness? Do we see kalesh, stress, some stuff coming at us all the time? Or do we close our eyes and say, WhyGuru, and feel peace? Feel connected to the one that made us. And we're happy to go back inside our true home. So this is the enlightenment that Maharaj is looking at. Guru, from darkness to light. Now, I want you to just imagine, the love that Guru Angad Dev Ji had for Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Just imagine the ultimate service, the ultimate giving himself. Whatever Guru Sahib said was good. Jo Guru kahe soi pal manyo. Just that love. And then Baba Buddha Ji tells Guru Angad Dev Ji that Guru Nanak Dev Ji passed away. Yeah. So that's at that moment, this is what Guru Angad Dev Ji says. Now obviously they were one with the Galpur WhyGuru. Yeah? They didn't have that attachment that they have for family. But for their Guru they had attachment. Yeah? Remember, you have to have love for your Guru. Sikhi is about love. The word neh means love. Yeah? People's name called neha. That imagine, now when that love happens, some people talk about loving their parents, their children. Guru Angad Dev Ji talks about his Guru. Amardaas says these words. He says, Jis pyare syo neh. With that beloved who I'm in love with. Yeah? Jis pyare syo neh. This aage mar chaliye. Before him, let me die and go. Yeah? The one who I love, don't let me die after him. Let me die before him. Because trig jivan sansar taake pache jivana. Life is accursed, is useless to live on without him. To live on after him. This is the pyar they have for Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Even though they are the light of God upon this earth, the love they have is still there. And it's a teaching for us. That's how much they loved our Guru.
WhyGuru, WhyGuru.